So, I never really thought that I would be here again in front of this microphone that I bought 6 months ago for this damn show, and I never got to use, but hello, and welcome back to the Chill Room. If you're one of our original fans listening to this, or if somehow maybe you stumbled upon this by accident, hello. I'm Nick, and I'm sitting here by myself. My co-hosts aren't here, and I'll explain why in a minute, but if you were one of those people that, was around before, it's kind of unusual for me to be doing this by myself. You'll also notice, maybe, I don't know if you're really that attentive, that the videos on YouTube that we had originally uploaded when we did this regularly were taken down, and the Spreaker channel just disappeared. So, needless to say, it's been a bit of a lengthy absence, but I've since re-uploaded all of our past episodes earlier today because, I guess you could call it arrogance or something, but I thought that they were too good to never see the light of day ever again. I didn't... something inside of me just clicked, and I realized that, some of those episodes that we had done in the past were probably some of the best things, both creatively and personally, some of the best endeavors I've ever done. So I didn't... they're too good to not ever be heard or be seen ever again. So I decided, what the hell, why not bring them back? And you know what the hell, why not bring the show back too? So either way, welcome back. I couldn't really stay away from this for too long, and it's been a long few months since we did our final episode that we did back in early August, I think it was. And I didn't upload that episode because I felt so shitty about the way the show had originally ended, but I'll explain all of it. I'm going to explain everything that happened. I'm going to explain everything that happened between me, Garrison, and Joe, and I'll get all of that soon enough. It's a really long story. So I guess I got to figure out where to begin here, but before I do that, I just want to talk about the future of this show real quick, because for a long time it was in really serious doubt. So originally I was just going to upload all the episodes that we had done in the past, and I was just going to call it a day. But when I was in the process of doing that, I don't know, something inside me just kind of, like I said, just clicked. And I realized, I can't not do this, forever. Because no matter, you'll hear whoever's idea it was, at the end of the day, it was one of my ideas, and it was an idea that, quite frankly, I was very proud of. And I'm still proud of it, even when I was, even when everything had ended and everybody went their separate ways, I was still really proud of it. But the reason I had originally done away with everything was because I was in a really bad place up here in ye old brain compartment, and I just couldn't bear to see another project of mine that I had deemed a failure just hanging around. So that was the original reason why I had deleted everything and deleted any and all traces of the show. But, of course, until recently, I realized that was a stupid idea. And, whoa, that was a hell of a stammer there, huh? It can't, not be around forever. I can't stay away from it for too long, because no matter what, no matter everything that happened, it was still something great. Something that I had achieved. We actually had an audience, we had fans, we had dedicated listeners, and it was something to be proud of. So I was a fool for giving all of that up, and I'll admit that. So anyways, that's kind of the whole, why am I here, what is going on, type thing. So now I guess I will get to what happened between me and my co-hosts. Why am I sitting here by myself? in my basement with my furnace going, keeping me nice and toasty. Well, I'll get to that. Trying to think about where to begin because this was kind of a last minute thing that I had just thrown together, and I didn't wake up this morning anticipating doing this, but here I am. So I guess I'll start with what happened between me and Garrison. Now, this is kind of a painful story. This is kind of a personal story. There's some details I might not get into, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, I guess I'll just throw this right out in the open. Garrison and I are no longer friends. You know, I don't go over his house anymore. I don't see him anymore. I don't talk to him anymore. We don't exchange gifts at Christmas. Don't wish each other happy birthday. So, yeah, we're not friends. He's no longer a part of this show, and neither is Joe. Joe, on the other hand, I didn't really, have any type of falling out with him. I like to think that we're still good friends, but I don't know. He's kind of a tough nut to crack sometimes, so I don't know. But the main thing is, considering that this whole show, this whole idea, all of this was Garrison and I's brainchild, a couple years ago. It's very important for me to stress the fact that he is not on this show anymore, and we are no longer speaking to one another, which I kind of feel bad about. But, if that's the way things need to be, then that's the way they have to be. I can't change that. And that's another thing I've come to realize a lot in the past few months is that sometimes that's just the way things need to be. You can't always sit there and chase things and hope to change them and spend too much time with it. Otherwise, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. So, what happened with me and Garrison? Well, it all really kind of stems back from when we did our last episode number 27, which never aired and never is going to air because, not that I don't want to, but I never downloaded the file, so it's never going to see the light of day, and it's going to be lost forever in, internet hyperspace, whatever the fuck they call it, I don't know. But it all goes back to that, episode number 27. That was in early August, I think it was. I'm not quite sure as to the date of when it was posted or when it was recorded. I just know that it was sometime in early August. And it was me, Garrison, and Rob, and we were doing it in Rob's room, and going into it, I didn't know that it was going to be the last episode we were ever going to do as a unit. I just thought that things were going to, go as normal because he took a break from the show. I think it was the week previous, and I had done an episode with Andrew, my friend out in California, who's also a pretty successful musician. And so everything was kind of like going off normal, and right as we're about to start, and I'm not even kidding, literally about a full 60 seconds before I pushed the button to record, he goes, "Yeah, this is going to be my last episode ever. I'm not doing the show anymore." And it kind of really, it put me off guard. And I asked him why, of course, and he goes, "Well, I want to explore other things, and I want to go with other ventures and, things like that." And he kind of gave me the runaround a little bit, and I said, "Okay, all right, whatever. This doesn't have to be the end. Maybe we'll get together for some one-offs or something. It doesn't have to be the end." But it was a real, to me anyway, at the time, I considered it a really, really low blow, and I was upset because, he's the Cheech to my Chong, the Simon to my Garfunkel. And I couldn't comprehend the fact that he was leaving something that, we were very proud of. But, at the time, it never really occurred to me that those groups all disbanded eventually. But we did the last episode, and it went off without a hitch, and that was that. So the show ends officially. Well, not really officially. It kind of just quietly ended. I know in the episode we mentioned that it was going to be the very last episode, but Of course, the episode never aired, or never really was cemented, and it's not around anymore, so it's not really the last episode, but at the time, it was. So, fast forward a couple of weeks later. No, yeah, it was late July, because Garrison's birthday is on August 2nd. Justin and I went to his house because we bought him a few birthday gifts, and we were going to surprise him. We were just going to, kind of just casually stroll up and surprise him with a couple of birthday gifts. Well, sure enough, if you remember, Joe, this was his side thing, this show. His main thing was his YouTube channel that he was running called, with my buddy AJ, who was also on this show, called Rabbit Teddy Gaming. And we get there, we get in the garage, we get in the actual chill room, which, spawned the name of the show and cemented this show's history. We get in there, and they're recording for the channel. They're recording an episode of A Conker's Bad Fur Day. And when we got in there, I was taken aback because he didn't say anything to me about doing this. Joe didn't say anything to me about him doing this. Nobody said anything to me about him just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just joining Rabbit Teddy Gaming just like that. So that was a real low blow to me because I thought that he was being incredibly dishonest. And I was stewing about it for a couple of weeks, and I couldn't comprehend it. If he wanted to, leave the show and do Rabbit Teddy full time, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. He should have just, came right out and said right off the bat, hey, this is what's going on. I'm going to, get with Joe, and we're going to start doing things on his channel, and we're going to start, and I'm going to start doing that full time. I would have been behind him 100%. I would have supported him 100%. I wouldn't have had a problem with that if he had just been honest to begin with. And that's what really started to rub me the wrong way more and more, because I felt betrayed. I felt like I was being stabbed in the back, and I couldn't comprehend it. So then, of course, naturally, and of course, even before that, I was in a really bad place in my head, like I had mentioned, and I was going through a lot, in my personal life, and our friendship had already been deteriorating from even before the last episode had ever gone on air. I remember, I think it was when we did episode 23 or 24. I don't really remember. It was one of those episodes, one of the later episodes. The original plan for that day was Joe had stayed the night at Garrison's house, and I was going to Uber over to the Hoover Dam. I was going to Uber over to his house, and all three of us were going to go over to Rob's together, and we were all going to caravan there together. Well, after I get there, there's nobody there, and I spend a few minutes there, and he texts me saying, oh yeah, we're just going to all meet at Rob's. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? I'm already here. Like, why don't you just stop home and grab me? Like, I'm already here. And I didn't hear from him. I didn't hear from him that whole time. So I keep calling Joe, and I'm like, yo, like, get with Garrison. Tell him to come here and get me or whatever. And he wouldn't do it. So naturally, with the show in jeopardy and me wanting to see the show go on, I started walking all the way to Rob's house. And from Rob's house to Garrison's house, it's quite a lengthy walk. And it was in late July, hot as can be, probably like 100 degrees. I get maybe not even a quarter of the way there before I'm about to pass out from heat exhaustion. So I call up Joe on my phone. I'm screaming at him, telling him to tell Garrison to get here, get me now, and let's do this and let's get the show over with. He pulls up, and I finally get in the van. Not a single word was uttered to me. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get a, hey man, sorry about the miscommunication. Nothing. I didn't get anything. In fact, I think the only word that was spoken between us was Joe and Garrison were talking about the new Jackie Chan movie that was coming out, and they didn't know the name of it, and all you heard from me in the backseat was The Foreigner. That's it. That's all that got out of me, because I didn't want to start a fight for the sake of the show, but I was furious. I couldn't even see straight, and it was really a wonder how I even managed to pull off a good face for the show, because after that I didn't speak a word to him. I didn't even look at him. I was so angry, Not an apology, not a I'm sorry, nothing. Not a goddamn thing. So I was pissed. So even before the last episode aired, things between us were starting to heat up. So, of course, naturally, when I go into his garage and see him, doing something without really consulting me, and the thing is, I didn't expect him to consult me, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice to, have a little heads up instead of wondering, is my show going to go on? Do I still have a co-host? What the hell is going on here? So imagine my surprise when I see that. So, of course, after that, we just kind of stopped talking to each other. Well, I didn't want things between us to end. So, of course, naturally, I would, try to hit him up every now and again. I try to get him to hang out, but, he would never text me back. He would never return my calls. He would just ignore me. And I don't like that kind of thing. Anybody who knows me personally knows I do not like being ignored, and it bugs me. I'm sorry, that sounds really petty and really shitty, makes me seem like a really shitty person, but I don't like it. I don't like it. So I would call him up every now and again, and I would try to get him to hang out, but of course, he would never respond to me. So for a while, I was wondering, are we even friends or not? So one day, I remember texting him, and I just started up a casual conversation, very, very short with me, didn't really seem like he wanted to talk, didn't seem very interested in hearing anything. So I was like, all right, whatever. And then a couple hours later, I texted him, hey man, are we even still friends? Nothing. No response. So I tried to get my friend Steph to talk to him, to get him to talk to me, because I figured things were, bad enough. And I realized, hey, I was being a bit of a dick in the past. I shouldn't have been acting like that. I could have handled things way, way, way better. I owned up to that. And I started to realize that, hey, you can't just, walk around angry all the time and expect people to still want to hang around with you. So, and obviously I wasn't going to get to Garrison myself because he's as stubborn can be. So I tried to get my friend Steph to talk to him, to get him to talk to me. And his response to her was, there's nothing to talk about. Really, Matt? There's nothing to talk about. I'm sitting here willing to own up to every mistake that I made and willing to make amends and move on for the sake of, not even for the sake of the show, for the sake of our friendship, because the show was long gone at that point. I had deleted all the Spreaker page, I deleted the YouTube page, I deleted everything. So that wasn't even in my mind. I just wanted to do it for the sake of our friendship. And you're going to sit there and say that there's nothing to talk about? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm willing to sit here and own up to my mistakes and make things right with you. And you're gonna sock me in the face like that? Really, man? That's fucked up. So after that, I just said, fuck it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not dealing with this anymore. And I deleted him off of Facebook. I deleted his number. I just couldn't take it anymore. I was baffled by the fact that, because, we had been, my voice cracked there, excuse me. We had been friends there for a long time. Okay, we had been friends for years. And we've always been able to hash things out and talk things out in a rational and respectful manner like adults. And this? We can't get past this? Are you kidding me? What kind of bullshit is that? And I couldn't let it go for a while. So, and to a certain extent, I guess I still can't let it go, because here I am, yelling into a microphone to people who probably aren't even listening to this about this. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't fathom the fact that he was so unwilling to make things better and for the sake of our friendship, and he just downright refused to hash things out. I couldn't believe it. It was a real shame. But unfortunately, that's the way that things had to be, and there's really no controlling that. but it really makes me upset. I don't harbor any ill will toward him. I wish him all the best. Even though he's not my friend, I still wish him all the best. I still wish him the best of luck in everything that he does. I don't hate the guy. And I really want him to succeed in life, and I still would like to be friends, at some point, because I'm going to be honest, man, I miss him. I miss hanging around him. I miss the stupid conversations we used to have. I miss doing this with him, but, he probably may never get back with me on this, and that's fine. I'll find some new co-hosts, whatever. But either way, the door is still open, on the show and in my personal life, in case he happens to, ever hear this or whatever, the door is always going to be open. I miss you, man, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the way things had to be, and I'm sorry that things ended the way that they did. You could consider this a public apology. I'm up here apologizing. I don't know how many people this is going to reach. I don't know who this is going to affect or whatnot, but, I'm sorry. I love you. I've always loved you, man. You're like a brother to me. We've always been brothers, and I don't want to throw any of that away. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, believe me, you have absolutely no idea how long I've been wanting to say this. Say this to anybody, because this is stuff that I've been keeping inside for ages, for ages. And I never really had a platform to speak out with this until now. And I'm sorry. That's really all I can say. Even to Joe, too, man. I'm sorry, if I ever rubbed you the wrong way, or if I ever said something that made you uncomfortable or made you not want to be friends with me. I'm sorry. I'll admit, yes, I was a piece of shit. I was an asshole. I was everything you could think of and more. But I'm willing to own up to that. And sometimes sorry's not enough, and I understand that. But, it could at least be a start, I think. But anyways, guys, I hope you're listening to this. I hope you hear this, and I hope that maybe someday, especially Garrison, that we can reconcile in the future, because, whether or not we speak to each other or whether or not we're friends, I love you, man. I've always loved you. I've loved you like a brother, and I don't ever want to let that go. You can't really see it, but kind of God, I didn't think I was gonna start tearing up, god damn it, but here I am. I'm fucking tearing up like a little baby. So I guess I've droned on enough about what happened between me and Garrison and Joe, and I guess I'll start talking about the future of this program, because this is going to be kind of a short episode. It's not going to be one of the lengthy ones like we used to do, but so from here on out, I'm still gonna do the show by myself, or if I can get some co-hosts somewhere down the line, or if Garrison and Joe come back, that would be great. But until then, I'm gonna do the show by myself, the same format we used to do. I'm gonna find something to talk about. I'm gonna give my 2 cents on it. Maybe find a game to play or something. Maybe not Would You Rather, because that would require more than one person. But I'm still gonna do things that the way we used to do them. And hopefully from there, but I'm not going to do it weekly, on a weekly basis, and so rigidly scheduled like I used to, because I feel like that was one of the things that contributed to the downfall of this show. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some time, because it's probably going to be a while till I do the next episode of this show, because I'm going to jot down some ideas, find some articles, find everything that I need, and go from there. And I'm just going to do it whenever I can. I'm not going to do it, Wednesdays at 8 like we used to do. I'm just going to do it whenever I can, but I'm going to give everybody at least a day's notice so that I can, get the proper audience that I need, and, get everything together, and, make sure everything goes swimmingly, instead of, going out on a limb and doing everything like we used to. So that's the way I'm going to do things in the future from now. from now on, and hopefully things work out like that, for the better. If not, I could at least say it was a good run. I gave it the old college try, and it's whatever, because I've moved on with other things. I've got to, this is my little studio for this show now, but it also doubles as my music studio. I've got a guitar here. I've got 3 basses here. This is where I record all my music, and because I've got that going for me at least. So this is no longer the be all end all for me. That was another thing that I felt really contributed to the demise of this show, was that I put too much expectation into this to take off and start making me money. I knew in the back of my mind that was never going to happen, but I fooled myself into thinking that it was. And I guess Garrison did too, to a certain extent. I don't know, maybe that's why he left. Maybe I wasn't giving him what he wanted. I don't know. But anyways, that was another thing. And, instead I'm just going to, kind of do this as kind of like a side project, as an every once in a while type thing, to, do something when I'm bored, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I spend way too much fucking time at home as it is. So I don't have a lot to do, besides this, or not this, but, music. Sometimes I stream on Twitch every now and again. And that, there really isn't much else to do around here. Other than that, there's really not much to do except lay in bed and watch fucking Netflix all day. So at least this is another thing that I can do as kind of like a side project to kind of keep my mind occupied, so that I don't, lose my shit or whatever, like I've done previously in the past. So I'll do it, every now and again. It's not going to be as rigidly planned, on a weekly basis like it used to be. So it's just going to be spontaneous. It's going to be more structured. So hopefully I don't, talk around in circles as much like I'm doing right now, because that whole beginning bit, up until I started explaining everything, was kind of scripted. So it's going to be more structured, more coherent, it'll flow better. So it's basically like a phoenix being reborn from the ashes. I'm going to bring this back from the dead and make it better than it ever was. With or without co-hosts, I'm still going to do my best with this. If it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. It doesn't matter to me. But if it does, hey, you're not going to hear any bitching from me. So anyways, I guess that kind of wraps up this little return episode. Kind of short compared to some of the ones that we used to do. Our episodes used to be like 45 minutes. But now I've got that 3-hour time limit, so I'll be able to talk more in depth about things and, actually make something that maybe I deem entertaining. Maybe not everybody else might feel that way, but hey, it's a start. But anyways, yeah, that kind of wraps it up. That kind of summarizes the future of the show and the way things are headed. So I can't really think of anything else to say at this point. So cock-a-doodle-doo, I guess. I don't fucking know.